Cool. So, hey guys, what's going on? I'm just gonna find the link and share it off so more people can join. So let's see. Currently we have one person watching, so that's cool. Let's go over here and let's share. So today we're going to be talking about the role of a rehearsal pianist in musical theater. So I have 4 scores that we're going to look at. We won't get through all the song. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I don't know yet. And we'll just play it by ear. So let's see. While we're waiting for some more people, why don't I just get in with it. So the first one that we'll be looking at is Suessical the musical, and we're going to be looking at the song Oh the Thinks You Can Think. So usually when I approach being the rehearsal pianist for any show, if the organization that I am playing for doesn't have the cast recording available, I will go online, go on YouTube, go on the website that we ordered everything from, and either order the cast CD or I'll go on YouTube, like I said, and listen to it. So for this one, on the original cast recording, it is 10 times different than what you have in the score. So let's see. I can get it up. So in this beginning section, obviously you have the overture that is just the entire pit orchestra playing, and then at the end of it, let's see. At that, you have the applause from the audience, and what happens is on stage for Suessical, lights go up on a boy and he's rhyming in the style of Seuss. And this entire beginning section, these first 1, 2, 3, 4 measures are all like cued measures. So at the end of the boy's mini monologue, he starts with, or sort of a kind of a hat wearing cat, and as he says cat, that's where you would start in with, and then the Cat in the Hat goes on with dialogue, and as he says, quite a mind for your age, then we move on to cat. And then after that, why one think and you drag me right onto the stage, then the next. Now I'm here, there's no telling what may ensue. With a cat such as me and a thinker like you. And then that's when we go straight into the bright 4 with mischief, with the Cat in the Hat saying, oh, the things he can think. So if you noticed the last fermata, which is where you hold the note, I did a sort of flourish up. Right here, you'll find that, I know the camera isn't good, but right here you'll find a little squiggly line going up. So that means that instead of just playing the block chord like, it means play up from the bottom note all the way to the top. So in this case, we have a G, A, C, and a high G. So G, A, C, high G. So if we take it from this fermata, we do... Now there's no telling what may ensue. Now we have the little flourish up with a cat such as me and a thinker like you. Then at that point we go straight into oh, the things you can think when, oh, the things you can think if you're willing to try. See now, with that, I don't like that page turn because if you notice on here, it's straight quarter notes with the right hand, which does give you time. But here you have to be ready to go down with the A, B, B, C with the left while you're doing. And for demonstration purposes, or what I do when I play shows like this, you'll notice that there's a long line going like that, straight through there. Just with those top notes, instead of it sounding here, it should be up here. And these upbeats that I'm doing with, I'm playing them down an octave, because if I don't, then my hands will be crossing with. So, just going on, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start at the flourish again, with a cat such as me and a thinker like you. We're just going to get straight through where everyone says, Sue, 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 Sue. So that's the first 3 pages. So, long boy monologue, or sort of a, kind of a hat-wearing cat. Then the next is the next flourish. Cat such as me and a thinker like you. With one, oh, the things you can think, oh, the things you can think when you're willing to try. Think invisible ink, da 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 da, ya da 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 da. Okay, so at that point, we finally get to the fun 8th note pattern, which there's accent and staccato. So staccato is short and separated, so the accent would be on the downbeat, and then the upbeat straight until the accent on the and of 4 is all staccato, so it'd be. And with the left hand, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. So if we take it from measure 11, which is right here, we'd be at. And then we're on to the next line, which, if I start here, if you open your mind, if you open your mind, oh, the things you can find. So in the actual recording, right here on measure 17, you have the downbeat with the rest of the orchestra, and you have just the violin doing. So, orchestra, violin, orchestra. And then we're into the fun, groovy section, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sue, 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 Sue. Then where you get into the bulk of the actual playing. So, now if we take a look at this page that I just played with the violin orchestra, when you think about Seuss. So if you notice what I'm playing, in the keyboard part there's nothing written until we sing Seuss on the second beat of measure 21. So if we were just playing the keyboard part, it would be Seuss. So instead of that, I just play the rhythm section part, which I believe is strings on keyboard 2 and the bells. So if I'm doing that, it's and then at this point, this is where I switch over to the keyboard part with the then Seuss, 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 Seuss. That's the easiest measure out of that entire sequence because it's just on the downbeat. Seuss, 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 Seuss. So if you notice in the vocals, you have G, B, G, B, G, B, and then in the keyboard part it's G, B. Then the next one is B flat, F sharp. So F sharps, B flat, F sharp. And then we're back to B, G, then G's, then B, G. So G, 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 Seuss. So that makes it easy on the singers because you're playing exactly what they're supposed to be singing. So the vocals should sound like this while the piano's doing. So moving on, now we're into like the groovy section of it, which is all mainly melody in the right hand of piano with and if you heard that 16th note up, I faked that all the way because technically what's written is landing on an A minor chord, but in the bass line you have so that together should sound like if we take it from Seuss, 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 Seuss. All the things you can think, any thinker who thinks you can come with a few. All the things you can think a trip on a ship, or a viper of hip, or the solar sun. Then accents. Then the boy comes in on the second beat with a cherry on top. Nothing, then accents again. Seuss. And this is where the orchestra comes in with the transitioning into the fun, funky circus tempo type stuff. With before right here we end with then into the funky A minor circus section with then F minor 7 part back to the original, then chromatics, then bum bum bum, back again, then instantly funky. Then on the next page we go back to that circus tempo. Back to chromatics, but this time in the left hand you have straight quarter notes, which it should sound like this. And And if you notice right there, that sounded awful. It's because I fake it. Then, right before the key change into B minor, we have the psycho strings, which is the part where you usually hear that guy coming into the bathroom with the knife. And that's supposed to be the strings playing. Yes? Ba-da-da-da. Which is always fun. So, let's start at the beginning of here, back at the circus beat. Chromatics, chromatics, both together. Then we're into the B minor. And here, since I already know the melody, which should be right there, since I don't turn the page fast enough here, I just keep it on, let's see, what is that? That should be an A0 chord. Then here we land on a G sharp minor, which is an A flat minor, but in this case we're in sharps, so then we're back into the da 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 da. Think about then groovy beat. Now, while they're just saying things in rhythm, the keyboards all have then key change, and in the bells part you have the tremolo, which is just back and forth between the two notes on two high C's. But if you look at this, ton of ledger lines, so I believe that should be but instead of doing that, I usually keep the high C, hold the bottom C, and then play the notes that are written in the left hand. Now we're into just the gradual build-up. So what I do there for the bari sax solo part is I just play all that with the right hand. And if you notice right here, it's just straight quarter notes. Should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, and then syncopation part. So if we start from the key change with then that right there, I cross hands, so the right hand plays it down an octave from what I'm playing in the right hand. So let's start with the 1, 2, and think. Just key change into D flat, which is fun because it's just staccato and accents with the right hand on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So, going from there, let's do 1, 2, 3 key change. that one section. Let's see. Back from the... You can tell that we're getting close to the end because it's all variations on the original melody. So let's start back at the top of page 21 at measure 114. Rest 2, 3, 4. And then back into that funky groove. I don't play what's written in the top hand. I just keep it the straight eighth notes, straight quarter notes, with the D flat, A flat, D flat, until we get to the second to last measure and land on an A flat. So right here, we're back into that original groove. A flat, 2, 3, 4, D flat chord. A big key thing in being a rehearsal pianist is that you have to be able to keep time. And if you make a mistake, you have to keep going. You don't play that measure over again, you just keep on going. So let's go back to the key change right here, back to C with the there and straight to the end. So we go from C to D flat in a matter of, let's say, 30 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, key change. Accents. Two, three, four. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 keys. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. Groovy. A flat. Now 2, 3, 4. Button. So that's another thing that you have in musicals. Like if you have a held note for a long time. In this case, we don't. But in this case, they could have ended it with Seuss and then go on to the next. But instead of that, like if you start at 126, we could have ended with Seuss and then go on to the next one, which in this case would be going into Horton Hears a Who. But they didn't. What they did was they made it end on the fifth, so Seuss, then land on the button. And in musical theater, what a button technically is, it's like, usually it comes after a fermata with, signifying that it's the end of the song and we're going to go on to the next thing. So, since we looked at Oh the Things You Can Think from Suessical the musical, what we're going to go on to now is we're going to go to Wicked the musical. So, what we're going to be doing is the song Popular, which a lot of people liked listening to when I was in school. So, with Popular, I'm going to sort of demonstrate what I do for musicals. So, usually when I approached it, I said this at the beginning, but when I approach it, I listen to the cast recording to see what's the same in the score, what's different, see if it's in the same key, because a lot of the time, the actors and actresses are learning from listening to the cast recording versus just from the piano player. Like, they'll learn the words and the rhythms that they need to be singing from the recording. Or if they know their harmonies, they might be singing a completely different one from what they'll hear during the show. So let's go over here to listen to Popular.
To take over, I know.
Let's see.
And let's face it, who isn't less fortunate than I? My tender heart tends to start to bleed.
7.
And when someone needs a makeover, I simply have to take over. I know.
Fermata.
Exactly.
1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Though it's the toughest case I've yet to face.
So, if you listen to that entire section, you'll notice that right here it says sweetly coya voce. Believe I'm saying that right? I know I have the voce right. But during that part, a lot of people sing it the way that the cast recording sings it. So, if we just played it through like with a regular tempo, we'd have that flourish again, right there. If we played it straight through, it would sound like, whenever I see someone less fortunate than I, let's face it, who isn't less fortunate than I? My tender heart simply starts to breathe. And when someone needs a makeover, I simply have to take over. I know exactly what they need. So during those first 2 pages until we get to this bottom here, it's a lot of freely playing. So if I were music director for the show and I was playing the keyboard part and I couldn't conduct this fully, I would have it straight until we got into the bright, bubbly swing eighths portion. I would keep that straight myself because it's what everyone had been playing off of and I can follow them easier. So if we're doing it freely, I'll start from the beginning again. Whenever I see someone less fortunate than I, let's face it, who isn't less fortunate than I? My tender heart starts to bleed. And when someone needs a makeover, I simply have to take over. I know exactly what they need. And if you listen to the recording, it went slow again to even in your case. Though it's a slowly now, then don't worry, I'm determined to succeed. Follow my lead, and yes, indeed. This is the part where you go as slow as the person goes. And if you notice here in the vocal part, right above it says retardando, which is gradually getting slower. So yes, indeed, you will be. There's little breath marks in between them, which indicate that there's a rest in between each. So since what the actors will be doing is they'll be singing what the cast recording says, or what the cast recording is doing, you have to follow that. So, indeed, you will be. Now we're in cut time with the swing eighths, so popular. We're gonna be popular. I'll teach you the. So that's the fun part because we're in cut time, and what makes this easy, well, this score easy, is because we have the chords written in. So you don't always have to play exactly what's written for rehearsals, but for the show, you actually have to. That is, if you're the same keyboard player that's going to be playing for the show. But if we start right here again, popular, we're gonna be popular. I'll teach you the proper poise when you talk to boys, little ways to flirt and flounce. Ooh, I show you what shoes to wear, how to fix your hair, everything that's little count to me. So that part right there is on the upbeat of 2. And there's swing 8, so it's not 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. It'd be 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. That right there, that is the hardest rhythm I've ever tried to play because I'm not used to doing the quarter notes in the right hand. I know you're probably thinking, but you were able to do I might have been able to do that, but that still took me a month and a half to perfect. It took me about 2 months just to get those ands on 3 and 4. So if we start right there with 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Those 2 measures. You would think it'd be. No. What the composer did was 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the 4, you go straight into 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the next page, you land on an E flat chord, which I do in an inverted chord versus what's written, because I'm used to doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, back to the original accent. Accent, 1, 2, 3, accent. 1, 2, 3, a lot of quarter notes in this one. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, da 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 da. Right there, that's the fun part. It's where you go, technically supposed to do F, G, A, B flat into the C. But when I play it, I just do G, A, B flat, then C. 1, 2. And I bring that up to the right hand so that I can land easily on that. Two, 3 straight eighths, because it says straight eighths right there, we're going to play them as straight. Versus, instead of so instead of playing it like that, we'll do 1, 2, 3, and again I take that up an octave instead of I make it 1, so starting right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, da 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 da, 1, 2, 3. So if you've noticed, we are staying with the same feel as before. So if you can master 1, 2, 3, accent, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, accent. If you can master just that 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can master that, it's throughout the entire piece. because that's the chorus. The chorus doesn't really change throughout this piece. So if we start right here at the D minor, very, very popular, like, then we have the build up. See right there, it's different from before, because before we did, but this time we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're into the fun section of and right here you'll notice there's a fermata. So, and all because of me. At that point, then we move on to so, at that point, if we were going to follow what the recording does, we would cut out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 and a half measures. But if you're actually going to play what's written, in this section you have 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and along with a ton of whole notes and half notes. So at that point we'd be at then Glenda says ball gown, nothing happens. Then we go into ball gown, you cut. Right here there's a fermata over absolutely nothing, so you wait. And then when Glinda says, and now for the finishing touches, when she puts a flower in Elphaba's hair, that's when we would start the vamp. So what a vamp is you play it as many times as needed. So in this case, we'll play it, say, 3 times. Three. Moving on to. Then at that point you cut. Glinda says you're welcome. Then we're back into freely, which is like the beginning where you just follow the vocalist with, and though you protest your disinterest. Here's the fun part, because you actually have to right here, even though it's not written, there's a retardando, which, as I said before, is gradually get slower. So let's start right here. Da 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 da. Now we're back into the bright, bubbly swing eights. You're gonna grin and bear it, your newfound popularity. T downbeat with an F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and there's my da 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 again, up an octave. La la. See, it's in every place you can think possible. That whole. And if you notice right here, that squiggly down, that's just a fall down the piano. So, quite honestly, this is one of the easiest songs I've ever played musical theater-wise, because it has the most repetition in it. So, now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on to let's say one more. So we have a choice of either Aladdin or Something Rotten. We're going to go with Aladdin. So Disney's Aladdin is obviously a Disney cartoon. So I believe it was in 2008 that, no, 2014 is when they brought Disney's Aladdin to the stage. And the most well-known song out of it, in my opinion, is Friend Like Me with Robin Williams saying wah 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 da da. And that's what this one is. But in this version, we start off with a gliss up from a D, landing on a G, and he sort of scats in a way with this rhythm. Can you give me a? Then this is the easiest part out of. Then right here you have a tremolo, which is where you take the top two notes, or whatever notes you have at top, and the bottom note, and kind of go between the two. So if we start right here, we go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wah, 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 wah. Hit it. Wah, wah, wah. Oh my. Wah, wah, wah. So right there, if I were to just play the piano part, we'd have... That's what we'd have, but since the saxes play that, they add the next line over so that you can... So you know exactly what's being played there, or as the rehearsal pianist, which is what I'm going over, my way is I play whatever the person directing the musical wants, or I play what the pit is going to play during the show, or something as close to what they're going to play is. So if we start with the traditional and then we go into right here with Alibaba had just the standard boom chicks. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's what the saxes do. And I always mess it up, so if we start with right there. And then right there, we have the option of playing exactly what the piano does with the boom chicks, which was the... Or we can play what the oboes and strings are playing with. Then boom chick. Moving on, we have the boom chicks again with... Or we can do... tremolos again, which what I do is I make it, instead of the D flat, G, and high D flat, I make it G, B flat, D flat, so that it goes with the E flat 7 chord. Then here, at that point, 63, we can either keep it with the right hand, or we can do it with both hands. since it's only the trumpets that are doing that, which I believe there are 2 trumpet hooks in this pit part, it'd be... What I do is I just keep the low Ds, then we're into... At that point, I've had to practice just that entire section of... I had to practice just those 1, 2, 3, 4 over and over again until I got the counting right. I had to have the metronome on, or I had to count out loud 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But it should be easy for me to count it out because the bass line is just doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So let's start with the dun da 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 dun 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 da 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 dun. This part is fun because you get the octaves right hand. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But what I do is I simplify it and I just do the top notes, which are the exact same thing as the bottom notes. So I look at the bottom notes while playing it up an octave. Now we're back into that swing. It's supposed to be like a minuet at the beginning. Then back to swing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Wah, wah, wah. The main theme at the beginning. And this is the part where we learn that the genie is doing all of his magic, where everything happens. So, at that point it's da 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 da. Can your friends pull this? So instead of doing... It's too fast for myself to play, so I just keep it with the... Which are the top 4 notes in that, which... 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. A flat G, G flat F. And then we're into 1, 2, 3, D. Now we're key change into E. I just realized I hadn't been looking at the live chat at all. Okay, so my mom, who is Paparazzi Jewelry and Accessories by Flora, she asks, why is it important to have a rehearsal way to play the song versus the Showtime version? So, to answer that question, it's important to have the 2 different ways because, in my personal opinion, the rehearsal pianist has a harder job because they have to play what it's like for the pit to... I'm explaining this wrong. Okay, so the pit has a certain style and sound versus than what the keyboard has. So most of the time in musical theater, the piano player has a lot of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... But in some of the more contemporary shows, such as Aladdin, it has a lot more of that funky bass stuff, such as in this section, while doing. But back to the question at hand, it's important for me to have the two different styles, because if you just play the boom chick that everyone's used to, once you get the pit in for rehearsals, they're gonna have to relearn the music the new way that is being played. So say I have just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Let's sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See, a lot of people can just play with boom chick, boom chick, boom chick, boom chick, boom. Can play and sing with the boom chicks. But say if I was doing. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. See, it's harder for me to sing with something else going on. And in my experience in being a rehearsal pianist and a music director, it's easier to change your style of playing than it is for the actors to learn, because usually the pit doesn't come in until like the week of or the week before, and the week of you have 4, maybe 5 rehearsals, and then you perform the show. So in 4 and 5 rehearsals, which are technically the dress rehearsals, if you're just playing the boom chicks, it's hard for the pit to play, because you're stopping and starting and stopping and starting over and over again, because the actor or actress doesn't know where you are. I hope that kind of answers the question, or I'm avoiding the question, or in a roundabout way answers the question. So long story short, it's better to have the two different styles, because the pit plays something different than what the keyboard has written. But getting back to the score, what we can do is we can get straight into the dance routine section, which right here, if we're at the D flat, then we're into B flat minor. So in this case, this show has a lot of dance routines. 42nd Street has a lot of dance routines. Chorus Line is mainly dance routines. A lot of shows have like big dance numbers. They have at least that one big dance number that goes on for 5, 10, 15 minutes. And for this show, that's it. And in some of the shows, I've seen people have the genie be duplicated in a way, where all these genies come out dancing together, doing the same thing. Or we have all these magical things happening while the genie's pointing to them, and so on and so forth. But if we start at 132, we're at the guy's chug circle. So at that point, we're just at and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. it's very important that you're able to play something similar to it, or practice. Practice, practice, practice is the biggest thing with this. Because once you practice it over and over again, it's going to be muscle memory. Like right here. It's still hard for me to play. And then if we go by what the recording does, we skip all that and go straight into the fermata. Skip like 2 whole pages. And then we go into a ton of different styles from here with a Latin. Bum 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 bum. That's the left hand, and with the right hand you're doing 1 and 1 and. So all together it sounds like. And then here, since I know what the melody is, it's along with C, F, E should sound. And yeah, practice is big thing. Because I still can't play that, and it's the easiest thing. It's starting from right there, it should be key change to now we're into a hoedown feel of, and then page turn, awful page turn. Now we go into the second part of Friend Like Me, which is where the genie goes and sings all the Disney favorites. And that's where Tale as Old as Time comes in, and then after that we go into a fast break 2 with Look at this stuff, isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Then after that style we go into The Little Mermaid with from there we go into a ton of different Disney classics. And then once we get to Friend Like Me Part 3, we're back into that. And back with but my big thing is practice, and I know I said that a lot within the past 5 minutes, but practice, 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 practice. Like, even after some of that singing, there's even more of a dance break. So right there, we're at See right there? 1 and 2 and. 1 and. With 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we get into the whole build-up section of then next page turn is another build-up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And a lot of musicals have this whole kick line tempo with then we're back into that whole bum, 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 bum. Never had a friend, never had a friend, never had a friend, never had a friend. You ain't never had a friend. And right here, the piano technically does a chromatic all the way up. So in that case, what I do is I keep the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 with the left hand, and then I play the trumpets and string parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. There's nothing, and we're done. And right there, I was supposed to go up, but what I'm used to doing is I go down to the long button, and since everyone else plays that, I usually keep the low button with both hands. So we're just over an hour in, and thanks for watching, the two of you. And if you like this video, feel free to click the subscribe button, and after you do, hit the notification bell so you know when I upload a new video. Click the like button if you liked it, and if you want to go to my Facebook page, the link is in the description. Link to my Patreon page, and if you want to donate to the channel, that's also in the description. So thanks for sticking with me until the end. I know it was kind of painful, but anyway, thanks, and hope to see you all next time. Bye.